Aloha, everyone, in another level living land. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Freedom Fridays. So happy that you're here because we are in store for an amazing special guest, amazing treat. I cannot wait for y'all to hear her wisdom and me too. We're going to be talking about elevating your leadership skills, a trauma-informed approach, right? How to be able to really step into another level of service for ourselves and other people. And before we get into it, I want y'all to give our amazing special guest, Catherine James, a warm welcome. Catherine, thanks so much for being here with us today.
Hey there, Heather. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored.
Yes, yes. Well, let them know what is the purpose of this show. The whole purpose of the Freedom Friday show is to support you as an entrepreneur in achieving your success in business and life harmony. Because it really is two sides of the same coin. We never want to get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. And it really is possible to work smarter, not harder, stress less, strengthen our relationships, lead with much more energy, ease, and momentum so that we can really enjoy and be present with our loved ones and have peace on all sides. So, Catherine is the founder of Sensational Living Training and Development. She has more than 3 decades of experience in the corporate sector where she held numerous management positions. Oh, yay, all about leadership. Catherine's vision is revolves around empowering women leaders to reclaim their authentic selves, enhance their communication skills, and boost their revenue. Through scientifically proven techniques designed to identify and release trauma responses from both the brain and the body, she helps her clients experience elevated levels of fulfillment, joy, peace, and calm. Oh my goodness, I know that our audience listening to this will love all of that. So, yes, Catherine, thank you so much for sharing your message and your wisdom. First, like, tell us, why is this something that's so important? Like, what in the world is this all about? What led you to this topic? Um, Tell me a little bit about the motivation so we know what we're getting into.
Yeah, so as you said, I spent 30 years in the corporate sector. And during the vast majority of that period, I will say what I now know, suffered from perfectionism. I suffered from overachieving. And at the time, I did not realize it was a suffering, right? I thought it was what was necessary to climb the ladder. And I did that. However, even though I had attained all of this stuff, the big house, the German car, the bells and whistles, all of the things that we think we want, there was a part of me that was still very much unfulfilled. And what I like to say is, although I looked like a public success, on the inside, I felt like a private mess. And that's really what was going on. That began to really, really take a toll on me. About 10 years ago, I went to the doctor because I started experiencing heart palpitations. I started experiencing panic attacks. All of a sudden, the cardiologist is saying you need to be on high blood pressure medicine. And I couldn't understand why these things were happening to me. And I had been in personal development for, at that time, probably 15 years or so. And I thought I was doing okay. But also, at that time, having started my business, I was acting as a coach and working in corporate. I went to a business training, and that training was centered around trauma with the understanding of we can only grow our business as large as we grow as individuals.
Hmm.
And in that training, I learned something about myself. The reason I was not experiencing fulfillment, the reason I wasn't experiencing joy is because I basically lived my life in shutdown, very
Hmm.
functional, but was in shutdown. And Heather, that night was the turning point for me. That night at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up in an absolute panic. And I was crying. I could feel the inside of me, just like a 5 year old, how kids cry and they can't catch their breath and it's just, and I woke up and I'm laying in bed next to my husband and I can feel myself like, and being the composed person that I was like, I need to get out of bed and get to my office because he can't see me in total breakdown. So I ran to my office, and all of a sudden it was just, and just crying and crying and crying and crying. And he came in and he's like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, the little child, "I don't know, I don't know, I don't know." But I had absolutely no control over what was coming up. And after about 2 hours, I was able to calm down, went to sleep. The next morning, I woke up and said, "There's something to trauma." And everybody that I come in contact with must understand that we can look very well on the outside. We can function. We can climb the corporate ladder. We can be parents. We can attain all of the stuff from a space where we are operating with our trauma responses. So,
Mm.
perfectionism was my trauma response. Overachieving was my trauma response. And after that, I went on a quest and I have not stopped. I had to learn everything I could about trauma, how it shows up in the body, how our mind interprets it, and how it shows up in our behavior.
Nice.
And after gaining a good understanding of the nervous system and how we can go into shutdown, which you heard me mention earlier, I just have now this passion to truly help people, help women. Primarily, I'm not opposed to working with men, but help women to understand what trauma responses are and how we can actually release them so that we truly can step into and live in our authentic self, the person that God created us to be.
Yes.
And
Oh
so a
my goodness.
long answer to that
No, this is
question, but
so good. It was so good here. I really appreciate you taking the time to be able to share your story because for those of you who are listening, give some likes and comments of how much you can relate to that. Especially, I know I did, that part about that external success. You climb to the top externally, your world looks okay. But when there's this internal difficulty, these challenges, this conflict, this heaviness, that causes overworking, overachieving, perfectionism. It is something that is so normalized, I feel like, in our society. So being able to bring awareness to that. So, and what, as you were talking, what it made me remember and realize is that our body keeps track of every single thing we experience, even our mind, right? Our mind and our heart space. It's so when our society tends to stuff things down and it only has nowhere to go but to come out. It's like
yeah,
pushing down the volleyball underwater, right?
yeah,
And you can, and
yeah,
it's actually more weight to keep it down than it
yes.
is to release it. I know for me, when I was experiencing those seasons, I thought
Hmm.
I was okay. Like,
Yeah,
I thought I was okay. I knew there was something that wasn't okay, but I thought that I was okay compared to
yeah,
now with this work. I'm like, man, this is okay.
yeah, yeah. We do think that we're okay. And it's like you said, to hold it down, to suppress is not the answer. As the beach ball always say, it's gonna pop back up. It's gonna rise to the surface. And for me, the rising to the surface was the high blood pressure. Right, a lot of times, especially as African Americans, we hear that the health conditions, high blood pressures, diabetes, things like that, are a result of the food that we're putting in our body. And I now challenge that. I challenge that because I understand the effects of the suppressing emotions. They cannot stay down. And so if we don't deal with them, they are going to deal with us. And that's what we're seeing. We're not dealing with them, so they're dealing with us. And they're dealing with us from a space of our health, our physical health, our mental health, psychological health. Like it's all showing up. And
Mhm.
so we can look like we're okay. High blood pressure, nobody sees that, but I know that. And I am just grateful because it was the thing that began to wake me up and say, wait a minute, what's going on? And is it really worth it? And the other part of that is it shows up in other areas of our life. As I think back, I know it showed up in my parenting, it showed up in my marriage, it showed up in how I related with others. It shows up. It's just about whether or not we are aware of what it is. So many of us, as you said, we normalize it and we will say, oh, this is just how I am. This is my personality.
Yeah.
I would challenge that.
Yes, challenge. Listen, everyone, I want y'all to put challenge accepted because it's so exactly right. A lot of times we think that we can compartmentalize our life. This is why at Another Level Living, we talk about life harmony and creating peace on all sides. And it really starts with you. You also highlighted something when you were sharing your story about how our business can only expand. Entrepreneurs, this is so essential. Our business can only expand to the capacity that even we can be able to allow that expansion in our physical body. So there's another thing here too. Sometimes it didn't start with you. Just like she was
Uh,
sharing, a lot of minorities tend to have these
yeah,
generational patterns and generational things that still reside in our DNA that we can resolve. So,
yeah.
oh my goodness,
Say
this
that
is just
again, though. Say that again. We can resolve it, right? Even though it didn't start with us, we get to resolve it. And we resolve it for us, we resolve it for our ancestors, and we resolve it for the generations that are to come.
yes. Yes, that's the best part. I mean,
Yes.
because it's like breaking those chains. Well, tell me first, tell us first, how does this impact our leadership? How does this impact our leadership and what can we do about it,
So it's as you said, our business is going to expand. So if we are leaders, and if I just come back to myself, as a perfectionist, I didn't only have that expectation of myself, I had that expectation of everyone that reported to me, everyone around me. And you can only imagine the conflict because, one, we're not perfect, we'll never be perfect. And the individuals who have to come in and report that they made a mistake. Like, how small does that make a person feel? How disadvantaged does that make a person feel? Or for leaders that I know they fear making mistakes, they need all of the details. Well, if you are leading someone who maybe is not, that's not their strength, details is not their strength, and you're continually asking for details, just think about the relationship and what's happening there. There's a disconnect.
know?
That person is not going to want to come to you, and you're thinking that they're continually falling short. And it's not, it's
Hmm.
simply your trauma response is, I am afraid to make a mistake. And because I'm afraid to make a mistake, I have to have all of the details. I have to cross every T and dot every I.
Oh,
And yet, we're coming in contact with people in the workplace and organizations and our businesses that don't show up the same way we do. And the fact that we need all the details is not the issue. The fact that you need the details and you make it an issue is the issue.
I was sitting here thinking as you were saying this, right? Like how we think that we're robot, it like creates us as robots, can't make a mistake. right? Can't and can't give ourselves grace, right? And I love
Yeah,
this because I recognize shifting that process, right? To like, okay, we're human. We're human
yeah, yeah,
beings, right? Not almost the human doings, but human beings. And that stuff that's going on within the inner world has to get resolved in order to maximize and win the connections with the outer world. It's like
yeah,
when there's no struggle or conflict within, nothing externally is scary. So
yeah.
share with us, please, how can, for those of people who are in these situations, what are some strategies or some wisdoms on how you work with your clients and stuff like that that you can share with us to be able to start
Yeah.
moving us in the right direction?
Yeah, it's super organic. And as you were talking, one of the things I like to say when we get stuck in our trauma responses, we literally feel like we're going to die. So, as I talked about in that illustration, the person who needs the details, if you don't have the details and not having those details literally makes you feel like you're going to die, then you know you're stuck in a trauma response. So, something that is very simple that you can do in the workplace, first thing, and what I'll say, Heather, is there has to be a level of awareness. When I am talking with individuals, I like to use the acronym PAUSE. I like to use the acronym PAUSE. And this came
Hear
to
it.
me a couple of years ago because we're so busy. We're so busy. And I believe that too is part of the trauma response. If I stay busy, I don't have to think about what it is that I am afraid of, that thing that's going to make me die. So the pause effect is paint your picture. Like get clear on what it is that what you want that outcome to look like without being attached to the outcome. How do we not be attached to the outcome? Do our inner work, right? The A is assess and awareness. So once you are aware, then you get to assess, where am I? We can't assess if we're not aware. And so then we have the U. The U is uncover your unknowns.
Mm.
What is it about you that you don't know? And that's the part, we know what we do know. We know what we don't know, but we don't know what we don't know. So, getting into that space and giving ourselves an opportunity to uncover our unknowns. The S is silence your inner sound. What you're talking about, there is so much noise taking place inside telling us, oh, you need all of the details. Oh, you cannot make a mistake. Oh, you should not speak up in the meeting or don't voice your opinion. There's so much noise, and it's telling us why we can't do that, right? They're going to think you're stupid. Oh, they're going to look down at you. You're going to be judged, like all of these things. So silence the sound. And then the E is elevate your energy. Elevate your energy. And that's what's
Ooh.
bringing me back to the question that you're asking. How do we do this? One of the things in the workplace that I began to do is just pause, right? So now that I'm aware, perfectionism is my issue, not anyone else's. And someone brings me something and I'm like, tag it, they didn't dot that I. That's my issue. I'm aware of that. So I pause. In
Oh,
pausing, I'm just going to inhale to a count of 5, hold it for a count of 1, exhale for a count of 5, and do
okay.
that 5 times. And when we do that, what happens is it resets the nervous system. So that feeling of I'm going to die just means that our nervous system is dysregulated. Our nervous system has jumped into our fight or flight. Sympathetic nervous system has turned on and it's got to do something, right? As we talk about that, the sympathetic nervous system fight or flight is necessary for us because it keeps us out of trouble. And if we go back to our most primitive um, years or of human beings and animals and mammals, we have to have that because if you're in the wild and something bigger than you is coming after you, we hear this story and we talk about if the saber-toothed tiger is coming after you, You don't have time to say, oh my God, should I run? Should I fight? No, your nervous system kicks in automatically and it makes you react. That
Right.
is the I'm gonna die. If you're standing face to face with a saber-toothed tiger, your body is saying, I'm gonna die. It's no different when we experience trauma. And I'm
Wow.
pause a second for to just give the definition of trauma because right now there are a lot of people using the term. It's kind of being thrown around, and I was traumatized, I experienced trauma. So I think it's very important to help people understand what trauma is.
Yeah, share with them.
Trauma, yes, trauma is not the event, which is very different than what we were told in the past. It is not what happens, it's how your body responds to what happens.
Oh my goodness.
And
So good. The
this,
distinction.
this is why we can have two people experience the same event. Two people in a car get into a car accident. One person will walk away and say, oh my God, I am never, ever getting in a car again. Another person's back in the car tomorrow. So if it was just based on the event, we would say both people experience trauma. Why is it that one can get back in the car and the other person refuses? Because it's not about the event, it's about how our body responds to the event.
Oh
The
my
person
goodness.
who refuses now sees the world differently. They now see people differently. They now see themselves differently. That's the definition of trauma, when it changes how you view yourself, others, and the world around you, and it changes your behaviors and how you show up.
Nice.
So
Well, and I
this
want to
is,
pause one moment. I want to hear for so repeat that acronym for pause again. So make sure we got it. And then those of you who are listening, make sure you tell us what one spoke mostly to you in the comments.
yeah,
So
yeah, pause. So paint your picture, get
thank
clear
you.
on what it is that you want.
Okay.
The A is awareness and assess
Okay.
your world, your affairs, where it is that you are and where it is that you want to go. The
Nice.
U is uncover your inner sound
Good,
or
good.
uncover your unknowns. My apology. Uncover your unknowns is the U. The S is silence your inner sounds. And the E is elevate your energy. Okay.
Ah, so good. My favorite one, I'm just going to tell you, is elevate your energy, right? Because what I've learned on this journey is that energy can trump a lot, even the emotions, all of it's energy. Our thoughts are energy. So, big picture. And even if you are listening and you don't believe in energy, you better be glad that energy believes in you because your body is made up of so much energy, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So
And I,
cool.
I think to some degree, like people believe in energy. You have to believe in energy. When you're tired, you're low on energy. When you're amped up, you got high energy, right? So there has to be some belief in
Something there.
energy, right? Maybe not to the level that we speak, but it is definitely real. And when I think energy or talk energy, I think spirit, even like you have to elevate an aspect of you that you can't see. And that is regulating the nervous system. So, that little simple exercise that I gave you, if you're looking for any bit of life harmony, as you speak about, Heather, you can really step into that harmony by just doing that simple exercise. When you regulate your nervous system, now you can bring your prefrontal cortex back online. Prefrontal cortex is where we think logically, where we do all of our reasoning and decision making. Bring that back online. That's not online when we're stuck in, oh my God, I'm going to die. Right. So
Mm.
you can't think logically. You can't make great decisions. But when you relax the nervous system, bring it out of fight or flight and just jump into ventral, whereas where we have more calm, where we have more creativity, where there is more peace, then we can make decisions that are going to benefit us. And that is what I would like to see leaders, that we lead from that place. Now, it's necessary to move up and down, which I'll say the autonomic nervous system. It's necessary because There are things, if someone walks in behind me right now and say, boo, it's going to scare me. I need to go into fight or flight, right? And I don't have to stay there. The issue is that so many leaders are stuck in either sympathetic fight or flight or dorsal shutdown.
So let me ask you, right? Because I want to highlight this part about they resolve this and now they're operating, they work with you, right? And now they're operating this in this joy, this fulfillment, this calm. They're aligned, right? They're operating in this centered place. Operating from that as a leader and even as an entrepreneur, we are leaders, right? Even as a mom, we're a leader, that we're always leading something or someone. What will that do staying in that place 24/7? What would that do for them and their world from your perspective?
Well, I'm going to say we don't stay there 24/7.
Or as much
Like,
as possible.
I don't want anybody to think I'm supposed to be there. I just live in bliss. No. The thing is, though, we can again recognize and get back there. But what that does is you have improved health, you have improved relationships, you have improved parenting, you have improved decision. Like every aspect of your life truly improves. I was doing something last night, late night, sending an email. And it's an important email. I was responding to something that I've been working on. And for whatever reason, the email sent before I don't remember hitting send, but when I went back to it to finish it, it wasn't there. So I send a follow-up email saying, my apologies, sent too fast. Here's my calendar link, send. About 10 minutes later, I'm sitting there and I said, that calendar link was not included. This in the past would have sent me into a spiral. Like all of that internal talk would have started. How could you be so stupid? They're going to think you're dumb. You shouldn't have not have made that mistake. That and last night I started laughing, like celebrating. I am so grateful that I have come to this part of my healing process because I get to laugh. I'm like, you're not perfect.
And that's a beautiful, you know what I love to say? Because also me struggling with perfectionism. Now I own I'm perfectly imperfect. I do the best that
Yeah.
I can, how I can. I strive to be excellent, not perfect, totally different, just doing the best that
Yes.
you
Yeah.
can. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
all the difference, right? So
Yeah.
and I love the benefits that you highlighted, especially what they can see with other people. And one thing I want to add is that it just makes you a happier, healthier, and whole person.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
no matter
Absolutely.
where you go, where you are, you can just be you,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
safe to be you.
And
So,
it's safe to be you. And
yes.
you get to, I'm in this space right now and I'm talking about honoring self. You get to honor self. Like you don't have to worry about people pleasing. You don't have to worry about putting yourself on the back burner. You just get to be you, as you said. And the boundaries are there. And you get to say, if that person has a problem with me making a mistake, I don't want to deal with that person. That's not the person for me. And when you can live from that space, it truly is just happier, healthier, and whole. We don't have to be perfect, but you accept and love all of who you are. You accept and love all of the individuals that comes in front of you without judgment, just accepting like everyone is doing the best they can. Even when we're triggered, and that's when you run back to that, I feel like I'm going to die place. You're able to step back, have grace, have compassion with yourself and with others. That is the beauty of it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So good. Everyone in the chat, I want to make sure that you put your biggest takeaway from all the stuff that she is sharing. And Catherine, how can our listeners be able to get a hold of you and be able to, do you have a free gift that you want to be able to offer us? Or how can we learn more from your wisdom and they can get connected? even beyond this.
I do have a free gift. So I think it is very important. And I think that a lot of women leaders are living under high levels of stress. And as you said, it's normalized and it's not normal. So what I have done is created an infographic. And in this infographic, there are 5 ways that you can really stress in 2 minutes or less.
Oh, cool, cool.
So as we are in that leadership role, and that leadership role could be being mom, that leadership role could be being CEO or whatever leadership role, and we recognize that the nervous system has run into sympathetic fight or flight or parasympathetic shutdown. We can, hey, I got 2 minutes 2 minutes just to bring me back online. So you can go to get that. You can go to bit.ly/, the number 5 ways, WAYS, the number 2, de-stress, DESTRESS.
And we'll make
Bit.ly.
sure to put the links in the comments in the comments below so y'all can be able to access
Thank
it
you.
and
Thank
get
you.
your free infographic like right away. I know I'm ready to get
And
mine on.
can I just add one other one also? If you go to my
Yeah.
website, if you're just like wondering, where's my nervous system by chance? I wonder, where do I live? Where does my nervous system live? Does it live in fight or flight? Does it live in ventral, where I'm calm? And when I say live, that means that's where you go the majority of the time. Or does it live in shutdown? And for me, for a long time, I lived in shutdown. No high highs, no low lows, just existing. On the front page of my website is an assessment. And after you take that assessment, it will give you the results and it's going to tell you where you are likely living, at least in this moment,
Nice. Nice.
in your nervous system, and some things that maybe you can do to move out of that as well. So my website is cathrinejames.com. Cathrine is spelled Cathrine, no E in the middle.
No, me in the middle.
Cathrine,
Yes.
cathrinejames.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we'll put that one in the show notes too as well. Okay, Catherine, what is well, based on all that we've talked about, what would be the biggest thing that you want to leave us with? Your biggest takeaway
Mm.
for us?
Yeah. So, as leaders, what I will say to you is follow your own heart, follow your own soul. There is a scripture that I can't tell you where to find it right now because it's escaping me, but it says, my sheep will hear my voice. I will know them and they will follow me. My
Hmm.
people will hear my voice. I will know them and they will follow me. If you are not speaking in your voice, your people cannot hear your voice.
Ooh.
So the people that are following you probably are not your people. Your people are out there looking for you. So I would encourage that you come to know you, come to understand your path, and trust that if you walk on that path, all that you desire will be delivered to you.
Hmm. Oh my goodness, that was so good. So I feel like if we had a mic, I would like to just drop it right
Yeah.
now. Mic drop moment. Thank you so much for blessing us with your wisdom today, Catherine. Like this has been truly a gift to our community, and we're so grateful to be able to hear this today.
Thank
Everyone,
you.
you're
Thank
oh,
you.
you're
It has been a pleasure to be with you.
oh, totally.
I want to say that, I am honored to be here. I'm honored to be in your presence. When we met, and it hasn't been that long ago, there was a connection. There was a connection, a soul connection. And who you are, how you care about those that you serve resonated so deeply that we decided to stay in touch. and I'll say we because I'm kind of funny about who I let into my space. So that and you may be the same. So I'm gonna say we decided, but it was so obvious and the evidence was so clear that I knew I wanted to stay connected to you. So thank you. Thank you for
Thank
having me and
you.
thank
Oh,
you for the
I
work
receive it, and
that you
I'm so
do.
grateful. I'm so grateful. And you and those of us who are listening, they can hear in the aligning of the synergies of the stuff that I talk about and the stuff that you talk about is beautiful because each one of us, you and me, hold the piece to the masterpiece that is going to be able to recreate this world on how is called to be, helping people step into their their harmony, their love, so therefore they can show and be that model for other people, and so I appreciate you having that service to be able to be on this mission. The best is yet to come. Everyone who's
Mhm.
listening, I want you to make sure you put your comments in the chat below. Remember that sharing is caring. So if you were inspired by this message, which I'm sure and I know that you were, make sure to go ahead and share this out to give someone else the gift of elevating their leadership with ease and grace. And make sure that you get Catherine's free gifts that she offered us. Continue to be and learn from her as well. She sends out great newsletters. She's very amazing with helping her community. So go ahead and schedule and connect with her as well because you'll be so blessed as well by her presence. We look forward to seeing you again for another episode of Freedom Fridays next week. And have an amazing rest of the weekend, letting this message marinate into your mind, body, and soul because you don't have to have a great past to have a great future. It is totally possible to recreate and restore yourselves each and every day, which is why I bring these amazing wisdom from other people to for you to be able to support you on that message. So go get it, go do it, rise and shine, elevate your energy and your leadership and your calling because there are literally people waiting for you to